Have you ever noticed how, as we get a little older, it feels like every little ache or flutter in our chest grabs our attention a little more than it used to? Maybe it's a shortness of breath that wasn't there before, or maybe it's just a nagging worry that something could be wrong. It's only natural, our bodies change, and it's important to stay tuned in. But what if I told you that something as simple as the medication sitting in your bathroom cabinet could quietly be raising your risk of a heart attack without you even realizing it? Hi there, I'm so glad you're here with me today. We're going to have an important heart-to-heart, no pun intended, about something that could truly save your life, or the life of someone you love. In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 common medications that could be putting extra strain on your heart, especially as we get into our 60s, 70s, and beyond. These aren't strange, hard-to-pronounce drugs you've never heard of. They're everyday medications that many people take without a second thought. But don't worry, this isn't about scaring you. It's about empowering you. Knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better you can work with your doctor to stay healthy and strong for years to come. So, make yourself comfortable, maybe pour yourself a nice cup of tea, and let's get into it together. Now, let's start with a medication that almost everyone has heard of and many of us have used at one point or another: nonsteroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs for short. These include things like ibuprofen, naproxen, and even some over-the-counter pain relievers you might pick up for a headache, arthritis pain, or sore muscles. They're everywhere, in your purse, in your medicine cabinet, maybe even in your car's glove compartment. They seem harmless because they're so common. But here's the thing, research shows that using NSAIDs regularly, especially at higher doses, can increase your risk of heart attack and stroke. They can cause your blood pressure to rise, make your heart work harder, and even affect how your blood clots. And if you already have high blood pressure, or you've had any heart issues in the past, they can be even riskier. I know how tempting it is to reach for a pill when your joints are stiff, or when you wake up with that familiar ache in your back. But it's worth talking to your doctor about safer options, especially if you find yourself using them more days than not. Sometimes, a simple switch to a different pain management plan, like physical therapy, gentle stretching, or even certain safer medications, can make a huge difference without putting your heart at risk. Now, speaking of pain and discomfort, let's move on to another group of medications that might surprise you: certain types of heartburn and acid reflux treatments, specifically the ones called proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs. Maybe you're taking something like omeprazole or esomeprazole. They're great at calming that fiery feeling after a spicy meal, and for some folks, they're an important part of managing serious conditions like GERD. But when taken long-term, we're talking months or even years, some studies suggest PPIs may be linked to an increased risk of heart problems. The theory is that they might affect the way your blood vessels work, making them a little less flexible over time, which isn't good news for your heart. Plus, they can lead to lower levels of magnesium, and believe it or not, magnesium is really important for keeping your heart rhythm steady. Now, this doesn't mean you should toss your medications in the trash. Please don't do that. But if you've been on a PPI for a long time, it's a good idea to check in with your doctor and see if you still need it. Sometimes, adjusting your diet, losing a little weight, or using a different type of medication can manage heartburn without the same long-term risks. It's all about finding the right balance for you and making decisions based on knowledge, not fear. You might be noticing a pattern here. Medications that seem helpful on the surface can sometimes carry hidden risks, especially as we get older. And it's not because the medications are bad, but because our bodies change. What worked just fine for us in our 30s or 40s might not be the best choice now that we're in a different season of life. Our hearts, just like the rest of us, deserve a little extra care and attention. Now that we've touched on pain relievers and heartburn medications, let's move into something that might surprise you even more. Antidepressants. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, aren't antidepressants supposed to help us feel better, not worse? And you're absolutely right, they can be life-changing for so many people. Managing depression and anxiety is just as important as managing our physical health, especially as we age. But some types of antidepressants, particularly the older ones called tricyclic antidepressants, like amitriptyline and nortriptyline, can come with some hidden heart risks. These medications can affect the way electrical signals move through your heart, which might cause irregular heart rhythms. They can also sometimes lead to weight gain and higher blood pressure, both of which put extra strain on your heart over time. Again, this doesn't mean you shouldn't take an antidepressant if you need one. Mental health is just as vital as physical health. But it does mean it's important to have an open conversation with your doctor about the safest options, especially if you have a history of heart issues or other risk factors. Maybe you're noticing a theme here. It's all about balance. About being informed. About asking the right questions. Sometimes small adjustments can make a world of difference, whether that's switching to a newer type of antidepressant with fewer heart-related side effects, or checking in regularly to make sure the medication you're taking is still the best fit for you. And speaking of small adjustments making a big difference, let's talk about something else you might not expect: decongestants. You know, those over-the-counter pills and nasal sprays that help clear up a stuffy nose when you've got a cold or allergies. They might seem harmless, and when you're feeling all blocked up, they can feel like a miracle. But many decongestants, especially those containing pseudoephedrine or phenylephrine, can actually raise your blood pressure and speed up your heart rate. If your heart is already working a little harder than it used to, that extra push might not be a good thing. In fact, for people with high blood pressure or heart disease, decongestants can sometimes trigger very serious problems, like arrhythmias or even heart attacks in rare cases. It's so easy to overlook this because decongestants are sold right there on the pharmacy shelf, no prescription needed. They seem so innocent. But when it comes to heart health, they deserve a second thought. Instead of reaching for a decongestant when allergies or a cold strike, it might be safer to use a saline nasal spray, a humidifier, or even just good old-fashioned rest and hydration. And of course, if you're ever unsure, a quick call to your doctor can give you the reassurance you need to make a safe choice. Now, before we move on, I just want to say, if you're hearing all this and feeling a little overwhelmed, please don't worry. That's not what this is about. You're already doing the most important thing by educating yourself, by staying curious and proactive about your health. None of us can avoid every risk, but every little step we take to be mindful and informed adds up to a stronger, healthier life. And that's something to feel really good about. Now, let's keep this momentum going and talk about one more group of medications that might be putting a little more pressure on your heart than you realize: certain diabetes medications. If you're living with type 2 diabetes, and let's be honest, many people over 60 are, you might be familiar with a class of drugs called thiazolidinediones, or TZDs for short. Common names include rosiglitazone and pioglitazone. These medications can help control blood sugar, which is incredibly important. But studies have found that they might also cause your body to retain more fluid, which can lead to swelling, weight gain, and increased pressure on your heart. For some people, especially those who already have heart failure or are at risk for it, this added strain can lead to serious complications. Again, the goal here isn't to scare you or make you think you should never take medications. Sometimes the benefits absolutely outweigh the risks. But it's all about having the conversation with your healthcare provider. If you're taking one of these medications, it's worth asking if it's still the best choice for you, or if there might be safer options depending on your overall health. So many of us grew up in a time when we trusted whatever the doctor said without question, and while trust is important, today we know that asking questions and being an active partner in our own care is one of the best gifts we can give ourselves. Your doctor wants you to be informed. Your family wants you to be well. And your heart, your amazing, strong, beautiful heart, deserves the very best care you can give it. And with that, now that we've explored some of the biggest hidden risks when it comes to medications and heart health, let's take a deep breath and move forward together. Because understanding the risks is just the first step. What really matters is what we do with that knowledge. And the good news is, there are simple, empowering steps you can take starting today to protect your heart and your health. First and foremost, it all starts with communication. I can't stress this enough. If you're taking any of the medications we've talked about, whether it's NSAIDs, PPIs, certain antidepressants, decongestants, or diabetes medications, the best thing you can do is have an open, honest conversation with your doctor or pharmacist. You don't have to wait for your next annual checkup either. A quick phone call, a short appointment, even just saying, "Hey, I heard that this medication might not be the best for my heart. Can we talk about it?" That's all it takes to open the door. Remember, your healthcare providers are on your team. They want you to feel your best and live a long, vibrant life. Sometimes there are safer alternatives. Sometimes adjusting the dose or the timing can lower the risk. And sometimes, it's about weighing the benefits and risks carefully together. But none of that can happen unless you bring it up. You are your own best advocate, and you have every right to ask questions about the medications you're taking. Another important step is to keep an up-to-date list of all the medications, supplements, and over-the-counter remedies you use. It's so easy to forget to mention something like a daily ibuprofen or an occasional decongestant, but those little things matter. Having a complete list ready and bringing it to every doctor's appointment can help your healthcare team spot any potential risks before they become real problems. And don't forget about lifestyle either. The healthier your overall habits are, the more resilient your heart will be, even if you do need to take certain medications. Simple things like eating a heart-healthy diet full of fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, staying active in a way that feels good for your body, managing stress, and getting enough sleep. All of these steps build a stronger foundation for your heart. Think of it like this: your medications are just one piece of the puzzle. But the choices you make every day, the food you eat, the walks you take, the deep breaths you remember to take when life feels overwhelming, those are the pieces that really complete the picture. And please, never underestimate the power of small changes. Maybe today you call your doctor to review your medications. Maybe tomorrow you swap a heavy, salty meal for something a little fresher and lighter. Maybe next week you add an extra 5 minutes to your daily walk. Little by little, step by step, you're building a healthier, stronger version of yourself. And that's something to celebrate. I also want to take a moment to talk about the emotional side of all this. Sometimes when we hear about risks, whether it's heart attack, medication side effects, or anything else, it's easy to feel afraid or overwhelmed. That's completely normal. But I want you to remember, fear isn't the goal here. Empowerment is. You're not powerless. You're not at the mercy of fate. You have the ability to take charge of your health, to ask questions, to make thoughtful choices, and to give yourself the care and attention you deserve. It's never too late to make a positive change. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, your heart is still strong, still beating, still carrying you through every beautiful day you get to experience. And the fact that you're here, listening, learning, and caring about your health, that says so much about your spirit and your strength. So, to wrap up, let's quickly remember what we talked about today. Certain medications, including NSAIDs, proton pump inhibitors, older antidepressants, decongestants, and some diabetes drugs, can quietly increase your risk of heart issues. But with knowledge, communication, and a few smart habits, you can protect your heart and live the vibrant, active life you deserve. If anything you heard today made you think of a question or an experience you'd like to share, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Please feel free to leave a comment down below. Your story might just help someone else who's going through the same thing. And if you found this video helpful, it would mean so much if you'd give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We have so many more conversations like this coming your way, all about living your best, healthiest, happiest life at any age. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. You are doing something wonderful for yourself, and I hope you carry that pride with you for the rest of the day. Here's to strong hearts, strong minds, and joyful lives, today, tomorrow, and always. Take good care, and I'll see you in the next video.